about to come. And as the danger is about to come, he speaks it. When someone is caring about you, it's very important to listen to what they have to say. You should never get to the place where someone is trying to be concerned about your well-being, that you assume that everything is fine and push them away from you. I remember one time I was going to check on someone because they weren't feeling well, and I was concerned just to see how they were doing. And when I went, they were, "Oh, I'm fine. You can go now." I said, "No." I said, "You said you were not feeling well. You said you were tired and sick, but now you're telling me to go." And sometimes we, as individuals, look to help those in need. But I realize that I am limited in my helping. But there is a God who can help you greater than I can. And sometimes we try to help, and we're bleeding, and we're helping, and we're only hurting ourselves. But we have to say, "Lord, I give you this problem. Lord, I give you this situation." So he's here, and now Jeremiah is speaking, and he's speaking, but yet they don't want to hear him. They're getting upset. But then when we come to Jeremiah 12, his own family abandoned him. How many of us have been at someone's house for Thanksgiving and everybody's smiling and happy, and then when there's some drama or mess, family separates? How many of us have had attacks from people not from the outside, but those sitting at your table? How many of us have been betrayed by people who said, "I'll never leave you"? But then when they don't get what they want, they're the first to run out the door. How many of us have went and done so much for people and done so much, and then when you turn around, you can't call them on the phone? How many of us have been betrayed by people who said that they were going to be there when we needed them? His own family abandoned him. Oh, it got to be painful when the people that's in your family leaves your side. You see, everyone loved taking pictures and being at grandma's house, but then all of a sudden, they act like they don't know you or your grandma for some reason. For some reason, people were there and spending time with you, but then when you look around, the room gets more empty by the days go by. When we see this, it made me take an introspective look at my life. I remember I was having a conversation with my therapist, and she said, "What really bothers you?" And I said to her, "What bothers me is not when people leave, because people leave and people go. I said, what bothers me is when people leave and act like you're a stranger. And you've done so much for them, and you poured out and you poured out till you were empty and you had nothing else to give." And sometimes in life, we meet people like that. We give our time to them, and they waste it. We give money to them, and it's just never enough. And we try to help, and the help is not never. We're dealing with an entitled generation. We're dealing with people who love to be around when things are good and things are great. But then when there are cold seasons, it seems as though people are never there when you need them. I remember I was watching the lottery on TV one time, and I said, "Wow, he has a lot of people around him when he won the money." I said, "I wonder who's going to be there when that money dries up." Because when you're successful, people love when you're successful. People love and say, "Oh, we are successful." If I had $1 million, this church would be packed right now. Because why? It will say, "We have $1 million." But if I don't have it, there'll be no one in the room. Why? Because they want success, but no one wants suffering. Everyone wants to be on the high mountains of life, but very rarely you have people who walk with you through the valley. And we have to be very careful to distinguish between valley people and mountain people. Because if you can walk with me in the valley of life, surely you can walk with me in the mountaintop. Jeremiah is here abandoned by family. He's ridiculed by people. He's looked at as he's crazy, and he's going through all these issues, and he's by himself. Now we come to Jeremiah chapter 20, and he's here being punished. He's here being persecuted. And now that he's being hurt, now he's all alone in this moment. I can understand how Jeremiah feels, because when you're going through your moments, there are moments where you feel like there's no one there to help you. You feel like you're drowning in the midst of the sea of depression and you can't get up out of the water. You feel like you're in the sea of sadness and no one can hear you scream as you're going down into the water. Have you felt like this before? Have you felt like you're saying, God, I need you? One of the things we cannot do is be insensitive to someone's pain. You see, that's the problem that we have today. You know, we have people who say, oh, that's their problem. That's their situation. That's their thing going on. But you have to realize that one day pain is going to knock on your door. One day pain is going to come and hit you when you least expect it. He's here having pain. He's been beaten by the priest called Pasher. He's beating him, and now that he's beat him, he seized him and he chained him right there. So Jeremiah is beaten with many lashes, and the lashes are dipped in glass and stone, and his body is beaten and he's ripped and destroyed, and now he's chained. He's bound up. He's tied up. He's feeling like, God, are you there? Have you ever went through a chain moment? Have you felt like there was nothing there to help you escape what you're going through? And so he's here in the midst of people who broke him down, and yet he still is faithful to God. Can you be faithful to God when your life is not going the way you want it to go? Can you be faithful to God when it seems as though you want to read your Bible more than talk on the phone, and then when you do, people say you're acting funny? Or maybe some of you have been trying to pray and you're still seeing that your prayer has not been answered. Can you stay faithful to God? But then he has this moment where he says, oh, Lord, you have enticed me, and I was enticed. Why would Jeremiah say that? Because he's here, and he knows that God has called him. He knows that God has promised to be there for him, but yet he feels like God has left him. Have you ever felt like God has left you sometimes? Let's be honest. Sometimes we're like David in Psalms 22 when he said, my God, why have you forsaken me? You see, it's easy when people walk away. It's easy when friends walk away. But it feels so painful when it feels like God has walked away. When it felt like, well, maybe he just took a vacation and he left angels to figure it out. But he's here and he's saying, God, you called me, you positioning, but yet I feel like you're not here right now. And he said, you have overpowered me. So Jeremiah is here acknowledging him, saying, you are the one that's called me. You're the one that positioned me. But now I feel like you're not there. And then he said, I became a laughing stock. So he's here and he's feeling the pain, and yet people are laughing at his pain. How many of us have gone through trials and tribulations and trouble, and yet people are having a good time on our expense? how many of us have been trying to do the best they can? They've been trying to read their word. They've been trying to study. They've been trying to pray. But yet people are not there to be a support.